It's a scene from Louis C.K.'s new series, Louie. So who is the comic who is explaining what the word faggot means?
That's Rick Chrome. And Rick is a comedian, lives in New York City. And he's just this guy who I met. I started in Boston when I was about 18 years old doing stand-up. And in Boston, you didn't meet a lot of openly gay people. Usually when people said, I'm gay, the next thing they would say is, ouch. You know, people, it wasn't a very giving place that way. And when I moved to New York City, he's probably the first openly gay person I ever met, I think. It's possible. I don't know. But definitely the first gay comedian I met. Anyway, Rick, when I met him, I had that conversation with him about the word faggot. I asked him about it. And he said pretty much that to me. I mean, I wrote that scene's written, but he said it that way too. That he didn't lecture me or say you shouldn't say it. He just said, "Hey, if you're interested, it's totally devastating," and he gave me that information. And I never forgot it. I mean, I was about 22. I have said faggot on stage a number of times since then, but I don't. I know what I'm saying, and I know what it means now.
So I never heard that explanation of the word faggot or flaming faggot before. Is that like etymologically true?
I don't know, and I've actually read things online where people are saying that's not accurate. I don't think it matters. I love that on all sorts of websites and gay blogs and stuff that this scene has sort of like stirred up conversation, which I think is just healthy. And this scene is about a guy who believes that to be the true origin of the word, and it's about his feelings about it and what impact it has on me. If it's not the real explanation of the word faggot, I don't think it matters. The point of the scene isn't to be accurate. It's not a news show. It's exchange between characters.
Do you have poker games like the one in the scene with other comics?
Yeah, not as much as I used to. It's hard for me because everybody's smoking, and I'm 42, and I can't stay up all night and play poker anymore. But that game. There's a guy in the game, Eddie Brill, who's really there because we play poker at his house every Monday. I don't go to that game very often anymore. But that is something comedians do get together sometimes and play poker. Rick and I had that conversation at the Comedy Cellar, and that scene starts with him telling us stories about a gay club, sort of a floating club. Called City Jerks in New York City. And what I love about Rick is that he's very centered in his sexuality. He's very confident, but heterosexual men are very not confident about gay sex. Like when they hear about it, they giggle like little girls. And there's been a lot of times at the Comedy Cellar where he'll tell stories about gay gatherings, and all the hetero comedians who think they're so tough just turn into little children and they shriek. And they are, really? Is it really like that? What's it like? And he just says, well, it's like this. And it's funny because, you know, gay men they're put through sort of a crucible, and I'm just taking liberty in saying this. Gay men have to go through something to own who they are. They get beat up. They get ostracized. Whatever they go through, if they survive it, they come out very confident people. They come out having been tested and having to really figure out who they are to get through it. Because I think that's how you get through any kind of a test, is by really finding your strengths and believing in yourself. So a lot of gay people who are still standing and still strong, that's who they are. Heterosexual men have never been put through that test. We don't get – nobody goes, oh, my God, you like women, and you don't have to defend it for your whole life. So we're not so sure about our sexuality. I think that's one reason why heterosexual men attack gay people or are afraid of them, because they're now confident and they've gone through this. But we don't know who we are sexually. We're a mess. So I think that's why the two sides of the sexual barrier is such an interesting it's such an interesting conflict.
The poker scene was scripted as far as once we start really talking about gay sex and asking those questions. And also the thing of all the stuff, most of the stuff of me talking about packing dicks into his mother's ass it's about a half scripted, a half. But once we shot the scene it was a really long day because we shot the scene once like scripted, and then I gave everybody a shot at screwing around and improvising, and then we all started getting a little punchy, and everybody started saying funny shit about wearing flip-flops and stuff, and then we kept shooting to get that, and then everyone was so warmed up that I was like, guys, can I just have the scene as written all over again on everybody's close-up? And they were like, fuck, and I made them do that. Everybody's happy because the scene came out good, but it was a lot. It was both. We kept shifting from scripted to some improvised. I don't usually do much improving in this show because we shoot it like cinema. We shoot it, with a lot of coverage, and we pick lenses carefully. So it's a kind of, if you improvise once, you kind of have to. But this scene ended up cutting together nicely because we didn't follow the script, and the camera kept kind of going around in this spiral circle. This kind of the way we shot it in this weird spiral. And I liked that we could catch sometimes in the middle of a move, and some of the dialogue is clipped. I liked that. So that's how we did that one. The gay thing, the poker thing, that was a real conversation I had with that comedian years ago. And I thought I should tell that story on stage. But then I thought, I'm not going to stand there and tell that story. It was his story, and I actually got him to, that's the real guy. He's just a comedian from here in New York. So that was one thing where I thought about it on stage first and then thought I'd shoot it.
And it goes back to that poker scene you did, which Jim Norton's in and all the guys, where you guys are just busting each other's balls.
Yeah, it starts as just, and also because it was early in the season, I liked that people would be, I'm aware of where the context of an episode now, from having done Lucky Louie taught me a lot as far as like just coming on TV all of a sudden.
Sure.
And what that means. So I knew people would be like, they'd start watching the poker scene thinking, okay, so we're going to once in a while see Louie and his buddies playing poker. This is an introduction. And they banter and they make gay jokes because that's just what fellas are like. And then that episode just stumbles into this fucked up territory, and then all of a sudden you're not laughing, and you're watching this guy talk about this thing, and then I make a joke in the middle of it, which is really inappropriate, and so it's wait a minute, am I supposed to be laughing at this or not?
Right.
And then it goes away. The episode isn't even about that, and we never saw that group of guys again.
I fucking hate you. I'll tell you why. Because you just explained what I thought. Like, okay, the poker.
Yeah, but hate's not the way to deal with it.
No, I hate Louie. But I thought you were going to keep going back. That would be a central thing of your show. Right. Absolutely. I bought into that. Like, okay, they're going to be doing poker every once in a while.
Right.
To just kind of have a little fun and beat each other
again.
up. And it never happened again.
No.
You surprised me with that.
We might in season 2 have another poker game. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
But you didn't have to go there again.
No, it didn't have to. And again,
other shows would have. Other shows would have.
Every show would have.
Well, there was some lines that was
every show would have done it.
Definitely. You should have done something like we were playing cards and someone should have said liquor in the front, poker in the back, and just give you a little finger like that.
A little finger on the side.
Yeah, a little joke.
That would have been good.
Yeah.
We'll come back and do that. No, and we didn't come back to it, and other shows would have been pressured by a network to. We love the poker, guys.
Please do more poker, right?
Let's hear. Yeah, that's what Eddie Brill has to say this week. Maybe he gets sad.
Yeah.
Oh, they would. And not only would they do poker, but every episode, every poker scene would start with guys razzing each other and then getting serious. It would have happened over and over again.
Same exact way. God, they just know how to unfunny shit up.
There was originally a second scene to the poker thing, and we shot it and I didn't use it, which is that at the end, it was going to be kind of bookends, and at the end of the episode, I'm on stage. Because I used to do the bits about the word faggot, cunt, and nigger. Like, that was my chunk of inappropriate words bits that I did then.
Inappropriate?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
A little bit. And so I do the poker thing to address the word faggot, and then you see me on stage doing my bit about nigger and the N, people saying N-word instead of nigger and that stuff. And then Hannibal Buress, who's in the poker scene, the black comedian, comes up to me and goes, hey, man, I see you banished faggot from your act, but you got nigger going strong. What's up with that? And I'm like, well, I don't mean it that way. He's like, yeah, no, I get it, but, I hear Rick say all this stuff. Do I have to now explain to you what nigger means? Is that, And I'm like, geez, come on, man. And he's like, I'm just saying, if you're going to say nigger, say faggot. I mean, it's not fair. So we actually, we actually shot it and then didn't use it. Because the sound was shitty and just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, otherwise I probably would have kept it.
How great that the network lets you say nigger and faggot, though, is in the right context. It's just great that they don't fucking bother you.
Well,
nice.
The standards person at FX is really smart, and she calls me whenever we, that poker scene was much dirtier at one point.
Really?
And John Landgraf, the FX president, called me and said that he loved the scene and that he wanted to put it early in the run so that it would get reviewed and it would be part of what people would notice about the show. He said, but it's too dirty. He said, if you want to keep it as dirty as it is, we have to bury it like 12 episodes deep.
Wow.
Because it was so just cum, every other word, cum, suck cock up the ass, eat dicks, cum. And he said, if you can tone it down in just the amount of times you use those words, then and he said, but it's totally your choice. He said, I think it's worth it because then that episode will get, that's a weighty scene and it's worth doing. So I went through it to see if I could cut it down without hurting it. And I cut out, like, this part where I go, where I say, how come you have to wear shoes at the club? And Rick says, because the floor gets full of cum. And Nick DiPaolo goes, all right, we get it. And so I manufactured a cutoff where Rick goes, well, the floor gets full of, all right! And he cuts him off and doesn't let him say it.
Right.
I manufactured that in the editing, and I realized, you know what, this is actually making the scene better.
Sure.
That Nick gets nervous enough about the stuff that stops it from being said. Yeah. And I used that way of cutting it down. I didn't have to cut out as much as I thought I would. And I showed it to Landgraf, and he said, we can do that. And I'm so glad we did, because that episode partly is the reason the show got notoriety.
And that scene's gone viral for you.
Yeah, and there's this website for gay people called AfterElton.com. It's a very big gay website. And they called me up. This guy called me up and said, well, I don't understand how this scene talking about gay people came from a straight guy. He's like, and he wanted to know how a straight person ends up with this point of view. Oh, maybe I'm gay. I don't know. I haven't sucked a dick yet. But hey, if I'm a closet gay, let me find out soon. I'm almost fucking 50. Get it out in the open so I can start taking advantage. But how awesome would that be? To all of a sudden open your fucking horizons.
At 50, you can just go, fuck it.
To go, oh my God.
Why not?
There's twice as many people I can fucking
Why not?
I did think consciously about how the show's in a world where people watch stuff and they go, holy shit, and then they virally watch it. And it gets posted on Huffington Post or whatever, all these things. So the first season, I always made YouTube clips. Every episode, I would make a YouTube clip of what I thought would be the really talkable scene.
Yeah.
Like the second episode of the show,
it was the poker scene, right?
Yeah. That was the first one. That before this episode was done airing, I got it up on YouTube right away because I knew that folks would be intrigued by that and want to talk about it. And the next day, it's all over all kinds of sites, and they have my YouTube clip to go to as a reference. They have, look at this. This is what happened here. This is what I think about it. And so it was fun with the show to go like, let's do stuff that intrigues folks that way. And also because the show was in capsules and it's in pieces, I could do something like that. The poker scene, nobody in that scene is in any more scenes of that episode. It's just one scene.
Yeah.
And there it was. People saw it. And that thing never stops coming back to me, that poker scene. It really?
Really?
Yeah, it just always keeps regenerating. And then